Hello and welcome to Stories in Life. Here we share real and emotional stories that touch the heart, make you think, and sometimes even change the way you see the world. If you love deep, meaningful life experiences, subscribe now and join our community. Your support helps us bring you even more powerful stories that inspire, move, and stay with you long after the video ends. The phone buzzed on the kitchen counter as Helen was chopping carrots for soup. Friday, 6 p.m. The usual time when Joan would text something funny about coworkers or ask about weekend plans. Helen wiped her hands on her apron and picked up the phone. A message from Joan appeared on the screen. "Victor, I miss you already. 3 hours without you is too long. I remember every touch from this morning. I love when you're so passionate before work." Helen reread the message, then again. Something snapped in her chest like a string breaking. She looked at the sender's name, Joan, her best friend since 7th grade, her daughter Mary's godmother. The next message came a second later. "Oh God, Helen, that wasn't for you. Sorry. Then another. "Helen, let's talk. It's not what you think." And another. "Please answer. I'll explain everything." Helen slowly sank into a chair. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the phone. One thought pounded in her head. Victor, her Victor. There were no other options. Joan hadn't been dating anyone for 2 years since her divorce from Greg. Helen remembered how Joan used to call her ex-husband that. How she cried in Helen's kitchen after their breakup. The front door slammed. Victor was home from work. As always, exactly at 6:30. She could set her watch by him. Every day the same routine. Work at the technical college where he taught structural mechanics. Then home, dinner, television. Fridays sometimes beer with friends. A measured, predictable life. "Helen, what's for dinner?" he called from the hallway. "I bought tomatoes like you asked, and got sour cream for the salad." She sat motionless, staring at the phone screen. Messages from Joan kept coming. "Answer me, Helen, please, it's just a mistake. It's me. Don't be silent. This is unbearable." Victor walked into the kitchen holding a grocery bag, set it on the table, turned to his wife and froze. Helen looked up at him. There were no tears in her eyes, only icy emptiness. "What's wrong?" He took a step toward her. "Did something happen? Is it Mom?" His mother lived in a nursing home. She had Alzheimer's. "Your mother is fine." Helen's voice sounded foreign, mechanical. "But my friend and my husband aren't doing so well." "What are you talking about?" Victor frowned. Helen turned the phone toward him. He read the message. Color slowly drained from his face. The bag slipped from his hands. Tomatoes rolled across the floor. One burst, splattering seeds on the white tile. "Helen, 3 hours without you," she continued in the same dead voice. "So you met at 3 o'clock. You had that faculty meeting, or didn't you?" Victor remained silent, staring at the burst tomato. Red flesh spread across the floor, looking like blood. "Answer me." Helen raised her voice. "The meeting was cancelled," he said quietly. "And you went to her, to my best friend. How long has this been going on?" Silence. "I'm asking, how long?" 3 years, he barely whispered. 3 years. 1,095 days. 36 months of lies. Helen staggered back, hitting the wall. Everything blurred before her eyes. For 3 years they had looked her in the eye, smiled, come to family holidays. For 3 years Joan had hugged her, called her friend, complained about loneliness after the divorce. Now everything fell into place. Why had Joan recovered so quickly after breaking up with Greg? Why had Victor started staying late at work more often? Why had he gone to that conference in Miami alone during spring break without her? They used to always travel together to academic conferences, and Joan had gone to visit a friend in Atlanta at the same time. What friend? There was no friend. "Get out," she exhaled. "Out of my house. Helen, this is our house. Let's not get heated." "Get out," she screamed, grabbing the first thing that came to hand, a salt shaker, and hurling it at him. Victor dodged. The salt shaker shattered against the wall. Salt scattered across the floor, mixing with tomato juice. You can't throw me out. This is my house too. The condo is joint property. Then I'll leave. Helen grabbed her purse and phone. But this isn't over. This is just the beginning. Do you understand me? I'll destroy you and her too. Helen, no threats. Let's talk calmly. We're adults. Adults. She laughed hysterically. Adults don't sleep with their wives' best friends. She ran out of the apartment without even taking a jacket. The April evening was cold. Wind cut to the bone, but she didn't feel the cold. One thought pounded in her head. 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. Her feet carried her to the park where she and Joan used to love walking. Here, on this very bench, her friend had sobbed after the divorce. Greg never loved me, she had sniffled then. I always felt like he didn't need me. Not like you two sweethearts. You're like lovebirds, so many years together. Hypocrite. The phone was ringing off the hook. Victor 10 missed calls. Joan 15. Then Mary started calling. Her father must have called her. Helen answered her daughter. Mary, can I come to your place? Mom, what happened? Dad called, said you had a fight. He sounded strange. I'll come and tell you everything. Just don't answer him for now, okay? Okay. Mom, you're scaring me. What happened? Mary, please just wait for me. Mary rented a 1-bedroom apartment in the North Side, worked as a designer at an advertising agency. 22 years old, her whole life ahead of her. How could she tell her that her father was a traitor and her godmother was the worst kind of person? When Helen reached Mary's place, she was already waiting by the entrance, having thrown a coat over her pajamas. Mom, you're blue all over. Where's your jacket? Lord, you'll catch pneumonia. Only then did Helen realize she was shaking all over, whether from cold or shock. In the apartment, Mary sat her on the couch, wrapped her in a blanket, made hot tea with brandy to warm her up, then sat beside her and took her hand. Tell me. And Helen told her briefly, dryly, trying not to break down sobbing. Mary listened silently, only gripping her hand tighter. When Helen finished, her daughter stood up, paced around the room, then spun around sharply. Both of them. And Aunt Joan too. God, I can't believe it. She was like family at all my birthdays at graduation. She baptized me. 3 years, Mary. 3 years they led me around by the nose. The phone rang again. Victor. Give it here. Mary snatched the phone and answered. Dad, no, Mom won't talk to you. And neither will I. Go to your Joan and make excuses there. Mary, let me explain. Victor's voice came through the receiver. Explain what? How you slept with Mom's best friend for 3 years. How you lied every day. You know what, Dad? Go to hell. She hung up and turned off the phone. That's it, Mom. Forget about them. Today you'll sleep, and tomorrow we'll think about what to do. But Helen couldn't sleep. She lay on the narrow couch in her daughter's apartment and replayed the last 3 years in her head, looking for signs she had missed, remembering oddities she hadn't paid attention to. New Year's 2 years ago. Joan had come to celebrate with them. Why should I sit home alone? Victor had been especially cheerful, joking a lot, dancing. And he danced with Joan so she wouldn't feel left out. And she, fool that she was, had been happy that her husband was so attentive to her friend. Last summer they had gone to the cabin together. All 4 of them. Victor, herself, Joan, and Dan, Victor's friend. Dan had tried to court Joan, but she had laughed it off. I'm not ready for a relationship after the divorce, she had said. Now it was clear why. She already had a relationship with someone else's husband. And the cabin. God, the cabin. Helen sat up sharply. They had gone there together, just she and Victor, in March to open up for the season. He said they needed to check how the house had weathered the winter. They arrived to find it clean, heated, and fresh food in the refrigerator. The caretaker must have taken care of it, Victor had said then. What caretaker? It was them, him and Joan. In the morning she was awakened by persistent, demanding knocking at the door. Mary went to answer, and Helen heard a familiar voice. Mary, let me in. I need to talk to Helen. It's important. Aunt Joan, are you serious? After everything you've done? Mary, you don't understand. It's not what it seems. I need to explain. Helen got up and went to the hallway. Joan stood in the doorway, disheveled, without makeup, eyes swollen from tears. When she saw Helen, she stepped forward, but Mary blocked the way. Helen, listen to me. 5 minutes and I'll go. Speak. Helen leaned against the wall, arms crossed. It just happened. We didn't mean to. Victor was so lost. You two were having problems in your relationship, remember 3 years ago when you almost divorced? Helen remembered. Yes, there had been a crisis. Victor had turned 45 then. He was restless, saying life was passing him by, that he hadn't achieved anything, wanted to quit teaching, go somewhere, start over. They had fought a lot then. And Joan had come, comforted her, said it would pass, that all men go through this. And you decided to help. Comfort him. How noble of you. No. Yes. At first I just wanted to talk to him, find out what was happening. We met at a cafe. He was drunk, crying, saying you didn't understand him, that he was suffocating in this marriage. And you saved him, gave him a breath of freedom. Helen, I tried to stop it. Many times I tried, but I love him. Sorry, but it's true. I've loved him for many years. Even before your divorce I loved him. I just hid it, even from myself. For many years. Helen felt the ground slipping from under her feet. You divorced Greg because of this? Joan lowered her eyes. Greg found out, saw our correspondence. We were just starting with Victor then, nothing serious yet, but Greg understood everything. That's why he left so suddenly, Helen said slowly. Dropped everything and moved to another city. And you said he met someone else. I couldn't tell the truth. 3 years, Joan. 3 years you came to my house, hugged me, called me your best friend. 3 years you looked me in the eye and lied. We wanted to tell you, planned to many times, but didn't know how. Well, thank you for finally telling me. So touchingly through an accidental text. It was a mistake. No, Joan. A mistake is when you stumble and fall. What you did was betrayal. Vile, disgusting betrayal. And you know what? You can be together. Take him. Helen, don't be like this. Leave. Helen turned away. And never appear in my life again. You're dead to me. But we were friends for so many years. Doesn't that mean anything? Helen spun around sharply. Exactly. We were friends for 30 years, Joan. 30. We grew up together, fell in love together, got married together, had children together. You were my maid of honor. I was yours. You're my daughter's godmother. And you traded all of that for someone else's husband. No. Our friendship means nothing anymore. Now go. I'm pregnant, Joan suddenly said. Silence hung in the hallway. Mary gasped. Helen slowly turned. What? I'm pregnant. 2nd month. Victor's. Helen felt her legs giving way. Mary caught her arm, led her to the couch. Leave, Helen whispered. Helen! Get out! Helen screamed. Get out and don't let me see you again. Mary pushed Joan out the door and locked all the locks. Then she returned to her mother. Helen sat on the couch, holding her head in her hands. Mom, she's pregnant. She's pregnant by him. 43 years old and pregnant by my husband. Maybe she's lying, manipulating? No, I saw her eyes. She's not lying. The phone rang. Victor. Mary answered. What? Oh, congratulations, Daddy. And Joan told us everything. No, Mom won't talk to you. And neither will I. Work it out with your child yourselves. She hung up. The next few days passed in a fog. Helen returned home when Victor wasn't there, packed the most necessary things, and moved in with her sister Linda. Linda lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with her husband and 2 teenage children. Space was tight, but her sister didn't ask unnecessary questions. At work, Helen taught literature at the high school. She had to take sick leave. She didn't have the strength to see people, answer questions, pretend everything was fine. Victor called 10 times a day, sent messages, even came to Linda's, but Helen refused to meet with him. A week later, Nina Petrov called, the wife of Paul, Victor's friend. They often got together, celebrated birthdays. Helen, how are you? Fine, Nina. Thanks for asking. Helen, I have to tell you something. Paul and I knew about Victor and Joan. We've known for a year. Helen listened silently, feeling a wave of rage rising inside. Paul saw them at a restaurant in the next town. They were, well, obviously more than just friends. We thought about telling you, but Paul decided it wasn't our business. And others know too. Susan, Dan, the Millers. We all discussed whether we should tell you. Everyone knew, Helen exhaled. Everyone knew and kept quiet. Thanks, Nina. Thanks for at least telling me now. She hung up. The phone immediately rang again. Now Susan was calling, then Dan. Everyone wanted to explain why they had kept quiet. Everyone wanted to clear their conscience. Helen turned off the phone. So it wasn't just her husband and best friend who had betrayed her. All their mutual acquaintances knew and kept quiet, looked her in the eye, smiled, and knew that her husband was sleeping with her best friend. Mom, you need to see a lawyer, Mary said that evening. Divorce, property division. Aunt Linda gave me the number of a good specialist. I don't need a lawyer. Helen shook her head. That costs money I don't have. I'll read online how to handle everything. People manage to divorce without lawyers somehow. But you need to protect your interests. Mary, what interests? The condo has a mortgage, 5 more years to pay. The car is old, 10 years. The cabin was inherited from my parents. That's jointly acquired property. What's there to divide? What about the money in the account? I don't need his money. I'll manage. Actually, money was needed. A teacher's salary, even at a high school, wasn't high. And now she needed to rent a place to live. But ask Victor for anything. Well, never. Helen wrote the divorce petition herself, downloading a template from the internet. In the reason field she wrote, adultery, let everyone know. Both came to court. Victor looked rumpled, unshaven, with dark circles under his eyes. He tried to approach, but Helen demonstratively moved to the window. Joan also came, sat on a bench in the corridor, placing her hand on her flat belly demonstratively. Look everyone, I'm pregnant by this man. The marriage is dissolved by mutual consent? Asked the judge, an elderly woman with a tired face. Yes, they answered simultaneously. Any property claims? We've agreed, Victor said. We'll sell the condo and split it 50-50. The cabin goes to Helen. The car goes to me. Agreed. The judge looked at Helen. Agreed. No minor children. No one is requesting alimony. No. It was all over in 15 minutes. 23 years of marriage and 15 minutes in court. Outside the courthouse, Victor caught up with her. Helen, wait, let's talk. About what? Everything's been said. I want to explain. Victor, what can you explain? That you lied for 3 years. That you slept with my best friend. That you got her pregnant. Go to her and explain. I don't want to go to her, Helen. It was a mistake, a huge mistake. Love you. I've always loved only you. And you slept with Joan for 3 years not out of love? Helen asked. Victor winced. It was temporary insanity. But now I understand what I've done. Helen, give me a chance. For our years together, for Mary's sake. Don't bring Mary into this. And you crossed out our years yourself. That's it, Victor. It's over. What about the child? He suddenly asked. Joan is pregnant. So what? Marry her, raise the child. What's it to me? I don't want this child. I don't want children at all. You know that. We agreed. 1 is enough. Should have used condoms, Helen said coldly. Or did you think she couldn't get pregnant at 43? She said she was using birth control. And you believed her. Victor, you're not an idiot. A 43-year-old woman without a husband, in love. Of course she wanted a child. An anchor to keep you. Helen, I can't handle it. I'm almost 50. What kind of father am I to an infant? Those are your problems. Helen turned and walked away. Behind her, Victor was shouting something, but she didn't look back. The following weeks were hell. She needed to find housing, but money was only enough for a room somewhere on the outskirts. At school, everyone already knew about the divorce. News in a small town spread quickly. Colleagues looked at her with sympathy. The principal, Peter, called her in. "Helen, I understand you're going through a difficult period. If you need time off, thank you no. Work is a distraction. I heard you're looking for housing. My mother-in-law has a small apartment. She rents it out. Inexpensive. Nice neighborhood. If you're interested, I can give you her number." The apartment turned out to be one bedroom but cozy. Peter's mother-in-law, a sweet old lady, agreed to minimal rent. "Money isn't important to me, but having a good person living there is. Peter vouched for you, so live peacefully." Helen moved in early May. She didn't have many belongings. She took only the most necessary things. Victor tried to send money through Mary, but Helen refused. "Tell your father I don't need anything from him." "Mom, don't be stubborn. This is your money too." "Mary, I said no. He'll have a child soon, let him spend it on that." In June, an unexpected person called, Greg, Joan's ex-husband. They hadn't communicated since he left 3 years ago. "Helen, hello. I know things are hard for you now. I went through the same thing. You knew then, 3 years ago. I saw their correspondence by accident." Joan left her phone unlocked. "They were just starting then, had been meeting for a couple of months. And you kept quiet. Why didn't you tell me? What should I have said? That my wife was sleeping with your husband? Would you have believed me? You would have thought I was vengeful or crazy with jealousy. And I didn't have clear proof, just correspondence that could be interpreted different ways. And you just left." "Yes, I realized I couldn't live in this town, seeing them pretending. Now I'm in New York, married again. We have a son. Life worked out. And yours will too, believe me. Thanks for calling, Greg. Helen, can I give you some advice? Go ahead. Don't try to get revenge. Don't waste your energy on it. They'll punish themselves. Relationships that start with betrayal don't last long. Just live your life. Build a new one. That's the best revenge." After the conversation, Helen sat in the kitchen for a long time, looking out the window. Maybe Greg was right. Maybe just forget and move on. No, it hurt too much. They had acted too despicably. In July, Joan gave birth. Mary told her she was posting photos on social media. "Twins, Mom. A boy and a girl." "Twins." Helen couldn't believe it. "Yeah. Difficult birth. Section. Dad's there around the clock. Let him be there." "Mom, you know they're living together." They rented a 3-bedroom apartment. Dad took out a loan. A loan? Victor had always been against loans. He said they were bondage. And now he took one out for Joan and the children. "You know, Mom, I'm thinking of going to see my little brother and sister." "That's your right," Helen said dryly, though everything inside clenched. Mary went and came back thoughtful. "They really look like Dad. Especially the boy, Dad as a child exactly. I've seen photos. How are things there?" "Strange. Dad is bustling around, changing diapers, mixing formula, but he seems lost somehow. And Aunt, I mean Joan, she's completely detached, lying on the couch giving orders. The children are crying, Dad is running around, and she's watching TV. Postpartum depression, probably. Maybe. And also, Mom, Peter was there." "What?" Helen couldn't believe her ears. "My principal. He came with a huge bouquet and gifts for the children, and looked at Joan so lovingly. And Dad doesn't notice, just fussing with the children. Peter, a 60-year-old married man, and Joan, who had just given birth to twins by Victor. The world had gone mad. In August, something unexpected happened. Helen was returning from the store and saw Victor by her building entrance. Thinner, with sunken cheeks, gray hair had appeared. "Helen, can we talk?" "About what?" "I can't do this anymore. I can't cope. The children cry constantly. Joan is depressed. Money is running out. Helen, I'm asking, help me. What makes you think I'll help? Because you're kind. You've always been kind. And because these are my children, which means Mary's brother and sister. Victor, you made your choice. You chose Joan, chose a new family. Now live with that choice. It wasn't a choice, it was temporary insanity. Helen, surely 23 years mean something. They meant something until you crossed them out. Victor, go away and don't come back. I'll sell the cabin, he suddenly said. What? I'll sell your cabin. It's registered to you, but it's jointly acquired property. I have a right to half. If you don't help, I'll sell it through the court. The cabin is inheritance from my parents. But you received it during marriage, so it's joint property. I'll check with a lawyer if you don't believe me. Helen looked at him and didn't recognize him. This wasn't the man she had married. Not the one she had lived with for more than 2 decades. You're a bastard, she said quietly. I'm a desperate man, Helen. I really need help. Either money or come back. Let's try again. With Joan and 2 infants. Joan will leave. She wants to go to her mother's in Atlanta. Says she can't cope and will leave the children with me. Says she'll take them when she gets better. In a couple of months. Helen shook her head. Victor, these aren't my problems anymore. Figure it out yourself. She walked past him to the entrance. Behind her he shouted something about the cabin, about court, but she didn't turn around. That evening Mary called. Mom, Dad said he's going to sue for the cabin. Is that really possible? I don't know, I'd have to ask a lawyer. I'll ask our corporate one. But Mom, maybe you really should help. The children aren't to blame. Mary, if I start helping it will never end. Your father will just shift everything onto me like he always did. But they're my brother and sister. And you can communicate with them. I'm not against it. But I can't, Mary. I'm sorry. The next day Peter called Helen. Helen, don't consider this presumptuous, but I'd like to meet. To talk about something not work-related. They met at a cafe. Peter looked younger than his years. Fit, gray but thick hair, intelligent eyes behind glasses. Helen, I'll be frank. I've long admired you as a teacher and as a person. The way you're handling this situation commands respect. Thank you, but I don't understand what you're getting at. I'm divorcing my wife. We lived together for 35 years, raised 3 children, but love passed long ago. We lived by inertia. And now I realize I want to live the rest of my life differently. With someone who interests me. Peter. I'm not proposing, he smiled. I just want to say you're an amazing woman, and if you'll allow it, I'd like to court you in the old-fashioned way. Flowers, theater, walks. Peter, I'm flattered, but you know I just got divorced. The wounds are still fresh. I'm ready to wait. Just think about it. And also, I know about your ex-husband's threat regarding the cabin. If you need legal help, I can arrange it. I have a good lawyer. How do you know about the cabin? Small town, Helen. Everyone knows everything. At home, Helen thought for a long time about the principal's strange proposal. She was 45, he was 60, 15 years difference. On the other hand, he was well-preserved, intelligent, caring, and most importantly, reliable. But no, too soon, still too painful. In September, the new school year began. Helen threw herself into work. New classes, new curriculum. It helped not to think. In October, Mary reported news. Mom, are you sitting down? What happened? Joan ran away. How did she run away? Packed her things and left, but not to her mother's in Atlanta. Dad found out she's having an affair with some businessman from New York. They met on Instagram. He saw her photos with the babies, wrote that he was touched by what a heroic mother she was. They started communicating. He visited a couple of times. Anyway, she went to him. And the children? The children stayed with Dad. He's in despair. Took leave from the university, hired a nanny, but there's not enough money. Loans, apartment rent, nanny, all crazy expenses. And I don't know what he's going to do. He cried. Says life is over. Helen felt no gloating, only tiredness, endless tiredness from all this drama. In November, something unexpected happened. Helen was walking home from work and saw Joan by the school. She was standing under a tree, bundled in a coat, though it wasn't cold. Helen, she called. Helen wanted to walk past, but Joan blocked her way. Listen to me, please. What do you want? Help. What makes you think I'll help? Because you're good. You've always been good, Helen. I screwed up completely. That man from New York turned out to be married. His wife came, made a scene. He threw me out, just threw me out on the street with one bag. And you came back. Where else could I go? I can't go to my mother's. She cursed me when she found out everything. Says I disgraced the family. I can't go to Victor's. He filed a claim against me for non-payment of child support. My accounts are blocked. Child support. But you're the mother. He proved in court that I abandoned the children, left them with him and went away. Now I have to pay. Joan, what do you want from me? Talk to Victor. Let him withdraw the claim. And shelter me for a couple of days. I have nowhere to go, Helen. Nowhere at all. Helen looked at her former friend, disheveled, without makeup, in wrinkled clothes. Pitiful. Joan, you destroyed my family, slept with my husband for 3 years, had his children, then abandoned him with those children, then ran off to another man. And now you want me to shelter you. I know everything. I'm guilty all around. But Helen, we were friends for so many years. We're friends past tense, Joan. Leave and don't appear again. Not by the school, not by my house, or I'll call the police. You're cruel. No, I'm just not a fool anymore. Go. Helen walked around her and continued on. Behind her, Joan shouted something, but she didn't turn around. Home, a surprise awaited. Victor sat on the doorstep with 2 baby strollers. In one slept a boy. In the other a girl was whimpering. Helen, I can't do this anymore. He looked up at her with exhausted eyes. The nanny quit. There's no money. The children are constantly sick. Help me, I'm begging you. Victor, these are your children. Did you want them? I didn't want them. I didn't want any of this at all. I wanted to quietly live out my old age with you, and got all this instead. The girl started crying louder. Victor looked helplessly at the stroller. I don't know what to do with her. She cries all the time. The doctors say colic, but I don't know how to help. Helen looked at the babies. Innocent of everything, abandoned by their mother, with a father who couldn't cope. Come upstairs, she sighed. Helen, you. I'll change the children and put them to sleep, and you go to the store, buy diapers and formula. And get yourself something to eat. You look like a skeleton. The next 2 hours Helen fussed with the babies, changed them, rocked them to sleep. Her hands remembered. Though Mary was already 22, maternal skills hadn't gone anywhere. Victor returned from the store and froze in the doorway. They're sleeping. Both sleeping. How did you do it? Experience. Victor, what are you planning to do next? I don't know, honestly don't know. Maybe put them in foster care. Are you out of your mind? These are your children. But I can't cope. Helen, I'm almost 50. I can't raise infants. What about Joan? Joan disappeared. Found another man and disappeared. I filed for child support, but it's useless. She has no money. Helen sat on the couch. Victor sat beside her, but she moved away. Victor, I'll help with the children, but not you them. Come twice a week, I'll feed them, put them to sleep. You can rest during that time or take care of business. But that's all. Don't build any illusions. Helen. No maybes. Victor, you betrayed me, and I won't forgive that. But children aren't guilty of their parents' sins. So began a strange period. Twice a week Victor brought the babies. Helen fussed with them while he sat in the kitchen, drank tea, and talked about his problems. Mary was shocked. Mom, what are you doing? Why are you helping them? Not them, Mary. The children, your brother and sister. I admire you, Mom. You know, Mary, I thought a lot and realized that pride and anger won't change anything. And children just want to eat and sleep in warmth. They're not guilty that their parents are idiots. In December, something unexpected happened. Peter invited Helen to the school New Year's party as his date. She agreed. She was tired of loneliness. The evening went pleasantly. Peter was gallant, danced only with her, courted her touchingly. Helen, may I walk you home? You may. At the entrance, he unexpectedly took her hand. I know you're helping your ex-husband with the children. That's noble. How do you know? I told you, small town. Helen, if you're thinking of going back to him. No. Never. Then maybe you'll give me a chance. I'm not rushing. I just want to be near. Helen looked at him. Why not? He was a good man, kind, reliable. Let's try, she said quietly. He kissed her hand, old-fashioned, gentle. In January, Joan returned, showed up at Victor's, demanded the children. She says she has rights. She's the mother, Victor told her, sitting in Helen's kitchen. Threatens court. Where is she living? Says she's renting a room, got a job as a sales clerk in a clothing store. Demands that I pay her child support. But the children are with you. She wants to take them. Helen shook her head. Victor, these are your business with her. Figure it out. But a week later, Joan came to her work, waited after classes. We need to talk, she declared. We have nothing to talk about. Helen, I know you're helping Victor with the children. Thank you. I'm helping the children, not him. Still, thank you. Helen, I want to take the children back, but I need help. Victor has turned them against me. Joan, they're 5 months old. What do you mean turned them against you? They don't recognize me. They cry when I pick them up. Because you abandoned them. They forgot you. But I'm their biological mother. And Victor raised them. And I helped a little. Helen, help me get the children back. Changed really. I understand my mistakes. Joan, these aren't my problems. And anyway, how are you going to raise 2 children on a sales clerk's salary? I'm dating a good man. He's ready to help. Again. Joan, how many times can you do this? This is different. He's really good, single and well off, ready to marry me and accept other people's children. But he doesn't know about this yet. I said I don't have children. Helen couldn't believe her ears. You hid from him that you have 2 children. I'll tell him later when he gets attached to me. Helen, help. Convince Victor to give me the children. Joan, go away. You're evil. You've always been evil and envious. Maybe. And you've always been lying and selfish. So we're even. In February, Victor reported news. Imagine, Joan is getting married. So what? To Peter, to your principal. Helen froze with a teacup in her hands. What? But he and I are dating. I know. The whole town knows. And Joan knows. She specifically seduced him to spite you. But how? When? A month ago they started meeting. He took her to the theater, restaurants, and she messed with his head. Poor abandoned woman with 2 children. He's 60, and here's a 43-year-old beauty throwing herself at him. He fell for it. Helen sat down. Betrayal after betrayal. First husband with friend. Now friend with the man who had been courting her. You know what's funny? Victor continued. She told him that I abandoned her with the babies, but didn't mention that she ran away herself. And he believed it. Why not? She's an excellent actress. Cries when needed, tells heartbreaking stories. The next day, Peter came to Helen's office. Helen, we need to talk. About what? About the fact that you're dating Joan. You know, I wanted to tell you myself. Peter, that's your right. Date whoever you want. Helen, don't think I just... She's so unhappy, abandoned with 2 children. My heart bleeds for her. Abandoned. Joan didn't tell you how she ran away to a lover in New York, leaving the babies with Victor. What? Well, she said Victor threw her out. Peter, you're an adult. Check the information if you don't believe me. Talk to Victor, neighbors, anyone. Joan is deceiving you. But why would she do that? I can't answer that. Maybe she needs a well-off man. Maybe she wants to hurt me. Maybe both. Peter left confused, and 2 days later came again. You were right. Found out everything. She really did abandon the children. And there was a lover in New York and much more. Helen, I ended the relationship with her. That's your business. Helen, I want to apologize. And maybe we could start over. No, Helen said firmly. I'm sorry, Peter, but no. You showed that you're ready to believe the first person you meet without understanding. That's not what I need. In March, drama struck. Victor ended up in the hospital. Heart attack. Mary called. Mom, Dad's in intensive care. Heart attack. What about the children? I took them to my place. But Mom, I can't cope. I have work, a rental apartment. Bring them to me. The next 2 weeks the babies lived with Helen. She took sick leave, looked after them around the clock. Neighbors helped, brought groceries, walked with the strollers. Victor was discharged after 2 weeks. He came for the children, gaunt, aged 10 years. Thank you, Helen. I don't know what I would have done without you. Victor, this can't continue. You need to decide something. Either a permanent nanny or I don't know. But you see, your health can't take it. I know. I'm thinking maybe take Mother out of the nursing home. Though she has dementia, it's not severe yet. Maybe she could watch the children. Victor, a person with dementia can't watch babies. Then what should I do, Helen? What should I do? He started crying. Helen turned away, couldn't bear to see his tears. In April, exactly 1 year after that day when everything began, the final turn happened. Helen was returning from the cabin. She'd gone to open it for the season. At her doorstep waited Joan, but not alone. With a man about 50, distinguished in an expensive suit. Helen, this is Sergey, my fiancé, Joan said. We want to talk. About what? About the children. Sergey is ready to adopt them. We want to take them from Victor. That's not up to me. Work it out with Victor. Helen, you have influence over him. He listens to you. Convince him to give us the children. It's hard for him, he can't cope. Sergey joined the conversation. Helen, I'm a well-off man. I have a construction business. I can give the children everything. Good education, a decent life. And Victor, what can he offer? He's sick, no money. Helen looked at them, at Joan, who was already trying on the role of caring mother, at Sergey, who clearly didn't know the whole truth. Sergey, are you aware that Joan abandoned these children, that she ran away to a lover in New York? Joan went pale. Helen. And do you know that a month ago she tried to marry my principal? Sergey. A month ago. Sergey frowned. Joan said she was in depression after childbirth. Temporarily left the children with their father while she was getting treatment. Getting treatment in the arms of a New York businessman who, by the way, turned out to be married. Joan, did you tell him that? Helen, why are you doing this? Tears appeared in Joan's eyes. I've changed. I want to be a good mother. Do you want to, or do you want to impress Sergey? Joan, you don't know how to love anyone except yourself. Not children, not men, no one. Sergey was silent, looking from Joan to Helen. Sergey, check everything she told you, Helen said. Talk to Victor, doctors at the maternity ward, neighbors. Then decide if you want to tie your life to her. Now excuse me, I need to go. She walked past them to the entrance. Behind her, Joan was shouting something, but Helen didn't turn around. That evening Victor called. Helen, imagine, Joan wants to take the children. Brought some man, says they'll take them through court. What did you decide? I won't give them up. These are my children. Yes, it's hard for me. Yes, I can't cope, but they're mine. The only thing I have left. Victor, what if they really could give the children a better life? Helen, you know Joan. In 6 months she'll find a new man and abandon the children again. No, I won't give them up. As it turned out, Sergey also left Joan after learning the whole truth. In May, life began to settle down. Victor started getting back on his feet, hired a permanent nanny. The children grew up and became calmer. Helen continued to help, but less often, once a week. Joan disappeared. There were rumors she'd gone to New York, trying to start a new life. In June, Helen turned 46. Mary organized a small celebration. Just the closest people. Her sister's family, a couple of colleagues Helen had befriended at the new school. Victor sent a message. "Happy birthday, thank you for everything." Helen didn't reply but didn't delete it either. In July, she sold the cabin. Unexpectedly, spontaneously. A buyer just came, offered a good price, and she agreed. "Mom, why?" Mary was surprised. "You loved the cabin. Too many memories, good and bad. I want to start with a clean slate." In August, Greg called Joan's ex-husband. "Helen, I heard what happened. How are you?" "Fine. Life goes on. I wanted to say I was a coward 3 years ago. I should have told you the truth. Greg, it's all in the past. And also, Joan called me, asked for money, a place to live. I refused. That's your right. She said you ruined her, that because of you she lost everything. She ruined herself. I think so too. Helen, be happy. You deserve it." September 1st, Helen met in her new apartment. At a new school, she'd transferred closer to home. New students, new colleagues, new life. Victor continued coming with the children, but now it was just routine. No conversations about the past, no attempts to restore the relationship. Just a single father whom his ex-wife was helping. In October, something unexpected happened. Helen was walking in the park and met Susan, a former mutual acquaintance. "Helen, how are you? Haven't seen you in 100 years." "Fine, Susan. Did you hear about Joan?" "What about her?" "Pregnant again. By that New York man. He left her when he found out about the pregnancy. She's now living with her mother in Atlanta." "I don't care." "Helen, is it true you're helping Victor with the children?" "I'm helping." "You're a saint." "I couldn't do it." "I'm not a saint. Children just aren't to blame." Susan left, and Helen sat on the bench for a long time. Joan was pregnant again. At 44, without a husband, without work, without housing. History repeating itself. In November, Victor reported, "Mom died. My condolences." She left an apartment, 3-bedroom, in the center. "I'll sell it, buy something smaller, and use the difference for the children." Reasonable. "Helen, I wanted to say thank you for everything. I know I have no right, but maybe someday you'll be able to forgive." "Victor, I already forgave." "Not you. I let go of resentment, anger, pain for myself. But that doesn't mean I forgot, and it doesn't mean I want to return to the past." "I understand." In January, Mary announced news. "Mom, I'm getting married. To Kevin. Congratulations. And we're expecting a baby." Helen hugged her daughter. "That's wonderful. When's the wedding?" "In March. Modest. Just close family." "Mom, I want Dad to be there too." "Of course, it's your wedding. Invite whoever you want. And Kevin wants you to come with someone. Not alone." "Mary, I don't have anyone." "Mom, invite someone, a colleague, friend, just so you're not sitting alone at the table." Helen thought about it. Invite whom? In February, an unexpected person called. "Helen, this is Alex. Do you remember me?" Alex, her classmate from university. They hadn't seen each other for 20 years. "Of course I remember, Alex. I heard about your divorce. I wanted to express, well, not condolences but support." "Thank you. How are you?" "I'm a widower, 5 years now. Children are grown, grandchildren growing." "Helen, maybe we could meet, have coffee, talk about the past?" They met. Alex had hardly changed. The same kind eyes, the same smile. Conversation flowed easily, as if 20 years hadn't passed. Helen, I always regretted," he said at the end of the meeting. "What?" "That I wasn't the first to approach you at graduation. Victor beat me to it." Alex, that was so long ago. Yes, but life's a strange thing. Sometimes it gives you a second chance. Helen came to Mary's wedding with Alex. Victor was there with the children. The 1-year-old twins were already starting to walk. You had to watch them constantly. Is this your new one? Victor asked during a break between toasts. A friend. He's a good man. I remember him from university. Helen, I'm happy for you. Thank you. Strange, but she really felt that he was sincerely happy. Maybe because he himself had already let go of the past. In April, exactly 2 years after that fateful day, news came. Joan had died. She gave birth to a girl and died a month later. The child was taken by her mother. Helen didn't go to the funeral, sent a wreath with a note. Farewell. Had she forgiven? Probably yes. Death zeroes out accounts, makes all grudges petty. In May, Alex proposed. Helen, I know this might seem hasty, but we're both over 45. There's no time for long courtships. Marry me. Alex, I don't know. After everything that happened. I'm not rushing. Think about it. Just know I'll wait. Helen thought for a month, weighed, doubted, consulted with Mary. Mom, he's good, her daughter said. And he looks at you the way Dad never did, with admiration. In June, Helen said yes. The wedding was modest, just close family. Victor sent congratulations. Be happy, you deserve it. In July, Helen and Alex went on their honeymoon. 2 weeks in Italy. For the first time in her life, Helen was abroad. You know, she said, watching the sunset over Florence. I thought my life was over at 45, but it's just beginning. Life's a strange thing in general, Alex smiled. Sometimes you need to lose everything to find what's most important. In August, Mary gave birth to a son. Helen became a grandmother, Victor a grandfather. At the hospital discharge, they stood side by side. Former spouses who had become simply relatives. Beautiful grandson, Victor said. Beautiful, Helen agreed. Helen, can I ask something? Ask. Are you happy? Helen looked at Alex standing nearby, at radiant Mary, at her husband. Yes, Victor. I'm happy. I'm glad, really glad. And thank you for helping with the children. I wouldn't have managed without you. You would have managed. People adapt to everything. They never spoke about the past again. Victor raised the twins. Helen lived with Alex, took care of her grandson, taught at school. Sometimes they met at Mary's birthdays, at the grandson's holidays. They greeted each other, exchanged news, parted ways. Joan remained in the past. A story about betrayal and retribution, about how a destroyed life can become the beginning of a new, better life. In September, 3 years after the divorce, Helen met Nina Petrov. Helen, you look wonderful. Thank you, Nina. I heard you remarried and have a grandson. Congratulations. Thank you. How are things with you? Well, Paul and I are divorcing. What happened? He's cheating. I've known for a year. I kept quiet, but now I can't anymore. Helen looked at her, at the woman who had known about her trouble and kept quiet. Nina, want some advice? Of course. Don't keep quiet, don't endure, don't wait for it to resolve itself. If a person is capable of betraying once, they'll betray twice and 3 times. Leave now, while you still have the strength to start over. But I'm already 48. So what? I was 45 when I divorced. And you know what? These have been the best 3 years of my life. Nina left thoughtful, and Helen went home where her husband and grandson waited for her. An ordinary life of an ordinary woman who was able to turn betrayal into liberation, and pain into strength. The story ended neither as a fairy tale nor as a tragedy. Just life that continues despite everything. And in this probably lies the main wisdom. Life always continues. You just need to find the strength to keep going. Thank you for listening to the story until the end. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends and loved ones. It motivates us to keep working on new stories every day. Don't miss the next amazing story that's about to appear on your screen. We're very grateful to have you with us. See you soon.